Working on this mock-up of A Book of Hours for the BBC series Wolf Hall, a beautifully bound book, was a very interesting exercise. I was asked to produce 6 pages of A Book of Hours which, according to the story, was owned by Lizzie Cromwell's, Thomas Cromwell's wife's family, and had been in the family for a couple of generations. It's easier to see the effect of these pages when they're unbound like this. So these are the first 2 pages with a little monkey and the flower. This was actually the first page that I started writing. And then this will be folded over so that this is another opening spread. And you can see the peacocks that are significant in the story. And then the last 2 pages with the squirrel and the angel with blue wings that they particularly wanted me to include. This Book of Hours was based on that of Joanna of Castile, and this is what I was given as my pattern, the exemplar to work from. To fit the story, they imported little animals, little strawberry, and this very intricate and I think rather lovely gold and coloured border. The first thing that I had to do, though, was to sort out the writing. And to do this, I determined which pen nib size to use. I measured the X height, and these are the lines at the X height, from the actual original manuscript, and then had a go at the writing. When I was happy with that, I then went on to the vellum itself, and this is a piece of vellum from the part of the skin that I was using. I treated it first, and if you don't know about treating vellum and want to use it, then do have a go from looking at my DVD, details on my website. And the treatment meant that I wanted really, really crisp, sharp letter forms, which I think I've got here. Having got that, then it was on to the book itself. I traced the whole page, including the lettering, because what I wanted to do was to feel the rhythm and the structure of the lettering. So comfortable with that, I could transfer the tracing into the book. And I do this in a very traditional way by using my own Armenian bowl paper, and I reinforce the outline with minium, which is traditional, and you might just be able to make out here and there a little smattering of red, which is very traditional in medieval manuscripts. I set out the pages, and this again is traditional in medieval manuscripts, by indicating the lines with a series of pinprick marks. You might just be able to see those a little bit better on the flesh side here. So there are pinprick marks which indicate where each of those lines should be. And then in addition, there are marks at the bottom, here, here, and at the top here, here, which give me the lines for the body of the text. And if you're slightly concerned that I've got my fingers all over this manuscript, please don't worry too much, because this is going to be very much aged. You probably won't see it looking as nice and clean as this in the programme itself. In the story, this book has been, as I've said, in Lizzie Cromwell's family for a few generations, and the gold and here will be showing signs of wear. And this is why I wasn't too careful. I was really quite slapdash about applying the gold. Because the gold is raised, that will be the part where there will be a lot of wear. So the pinprick marks were done, the lines were drawn for the text, and I started then, not at the first page, but at the second page, this page here, because when you start on something like this, quite often you're quite tense, you're quite tight, and this is reflected in your letter forms. And this is quite obvious if it's at the beginning. If it's within the text, it doesn't show so much. So this was the first page, and then I went on to the actual first page. I left gaps for the decorated initials, but I had 2 pens on the go to do the red and the black, because it's quite difficult to do the spacing. Just leaving spaces isn't often sensible. So the text was done, the initials were painted, and then it was on to these delightful little animals. Here we have a moth. Down the bottom of the page, there is a monkey holding a mirror. Opposite here is a pink flower. Is that a carnation or a pink? And at the top, a strawberry. And over the page, an illuminated peacock with a thistle at the top. At the bottom here, a rabbit. Another peacock over the page. Here, a little hairy squirrel eating a hazelnut. At the top, no medieval manuscript should ever be without a snail. And the angel with blue wings that they very much wanted to feature as part of the programme. Obviously, I don't know what this is about yet because filming hasn't even started. So the paintings without illumination were the next thing, and then it was on to the gold. There wasn't time to use a traditional gesso, and so I used a modern adhesive. And as I say, I wasn't too careful about making sure that the gold was absolutely perfect. I think you can see there's a sign of wear already, because that will be what will happen in a medieval manuscript. This is the hair side, and you could make out just at the top here little brown marks, which are the hair follicles. I chose something that was quite marked like that to make it absolutely certain that it could be seen this was vellum, and there is some veining just here, and that is in quite contrast, as you know, if you've used vellum from the hair side, from the flesh side here, which is always whiter and smoother. So it will be very interesting to see how this book is used in the story, and these are the 6 pages.